Good morning. Well, I woke up this morning with a hankering for a good crab Benedict. We have no crab. We're gonna have to go find some. From where we are right here, it's only about a 10-minute drive to the mighty Pacific Ocean. So we're gonna throw a couple crab pots in the car, drive down there, head to the public dock, throw them over, see if we can't wrangle some up. Yeah, and you're coming with us. Okay, coffee, car, we're out.
Catches a crab.
And now we wait. Just about a half an hour later, out of the water came two pretty full pots. And out of all those monsters, we left with these three keepers. Not too shabby. Well, we got ourselves 3 Dungeness crab this morning, all in about the time it took us to drink a good cup of coffee. So I would say that's a success and a pretty nice way to spend the morning. So I'm going to show you one of my all-time favorite things to do with some fresh crab. We're going to make a crab Benedict. But before we start, I probably need to tell you 2 things. First, this is not going to be good for you. I may have a heart attack before I even finish. And second, it's not going to be a traditional eggs Benedict. But that's kind of the point of cooking. You make whatever you want. So, first things first, we're going to get some water boiling and get these crabs cooking. So while we're waiting for this water to boil, I think we should talk about how to cook fresh Dungeness crab. There's a million ways you can do it, but really, well, especially for this recipe, we want the crab to be as clean, as pure as possible. So we're not going to use salt water, we're not going to use seasonings like Old Bay or anything like that. We just want fresh, clean, great Dungeness crab. Dungeness crab, I think, is one of the best crab out there. So we're not going to ruin it with a bunch of extra stuff that we don't need. We just want really good fresh crab. So to get the cleanest tasting Dungeness crab possible, we're actually going to clean this before we boil it. I'm not going to show you the whole process because it's a little gruesome. Well, maybe I will. If you're squeamish, shut your eyes. This will be brief. Basically, we smash the crab right in the center, break it apart. It's as quick and hopefully painless process as possible. I'm sure it's not a good way to go, but at least it's quick. So we break them in half, clean them, and that's how they're going in the pot. We don't want the guts and the grime and all the stuff on these crabs to go in the pot cooking with it, because you'll taste all that. This way, it's clean and, well, it's delicious. After getting rid of the guts and the gills, a good freshwater rinse will take care of the sand and the mud and even the seaweed. And then this pile of fresh crab is ready for a boiling pot of water. And once they're all in there, make sure they're all submerged, put a lid on it, and then we wait. But you don't want to wait too long. All it takes is about 7 or 8 minutes and they're perfect. So after those quick 7 or 8 minutes, out these bad boys come, and what you're left with is a pile of perfectly cooked Dungeness crab. So now we're going to let that crab cool for a little bit before we start breaking into it and pulling all the meat out. But that'll give us time to start working on our Hollandaise sauce. This one's going to be a little bit different, and we're going to sort of cheat to make it, but it's going to be great. I think for a lot of people, making a good Hollandaise is a daunting task, but it shouldn't be. Well, maybe it should. If you're doing it the old-fashioned way with a whisk and a double boiler, it's tricky, but I'm going to show you how to make it easy. So what we're going to use is a couple of eggs. These came straight off our friend Tiffany's farm. Tiffany, thanks for the eggs. These look great. Need a little lemon, about a tablespoon of it, a stick of butter, which is a half a cup, and for this, we're going to use this secret sauce. This is a homemade Thai chili paste. that is incredible. If you have any interest in it, let me know in the comments. Maybe we'll make some for you or show you how to make it. But it's incredible. We learned how to make this all the way over in Thailand. Just going to Thailand for this was reason enough. So that's the secret weapon. But we're also going to use one of these, an immersion blender, rather than sit with a double boiler and a whisk and hope that it turns out. This is kind of a foolproof way to make it. Fast and easy, and that's what we like, because sometimes cheaters actually win. So what we're going to start with is melting a little butter. It's 1 stick of salted butter, because that's what we got. You don't have to use salted. You can add a little salt to taste later. This is what we got. So we're going to melt it in one of these. It's got a spout because we're going to actually use this to pour the butter. So this is going in the microwave. We don't want it to boil. We don't want it to burn. We just want to melt it. So next, we're just going to take the yolks of these 2 eggs, just the yolks. Along with those couple of egg yolks, we'll need about a tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And that works out to about half of this small to medium sized lemon. And then it's time for the secret weapon. This chili paste is hellfire and damnation hot. You just need a tiny bit. We're going to use about a 1/4 teaspoon. And that really is going to give this some kick and brighten it up a bit. If you don't have this chili paste, which I'm pretty sure you don't, you can use a little splash of Tabasco, maybe a pinch of cayenne, even a little Dijon mustard, but you don't want to use a whole lot of any of those things because it will overpower fast. Now that we got the egg, the lemon juice, and a little bit of chili paste in the bowl, we're just going to give it a quick pulse with the immersion blender just to get it all mixed up, and then we're going to do the tricky part. And it's really not that tricky, I promise. Now that our egg, lemon juice, chili paste are all mixed up, we're going to take our warm butter, it's actually pretty hot, pour it in while the immersion blender is going at a rate that'll take about 30 seconds to pour all this in. Keep the blender going, pour this in nice and slow. This hot butter is actually what's going to cook the egg along with the friction from the blender. It's going to work out like a champ. So now that that's done, what we're left with is this. Rich, thick, and creamy. It's a little foamy at the moment, but it will settle. Just give it a couple of minutes. And it's perfect. It's looking pretty good, and it tastes even better. So we can set this aside. You don't want this to get cold, so you can put it in a glass dish with some hot tap water and keep it warm. Next up, we're actually going to start in on the rest of the Benedict. And for this, we're going to use a nice, fresh, ripe tomato. It's tomato season. So this is going on it. We're going to cut this into some pretty thick slices and sear it, because why not? But before we get to cooking, we're going to give these beauties just a drizzle of olive oil, a little pinch of salt, and a bit of freshly ground black pepper. And yes, we want it on both sides. And for today's version of a Benedict, we're going to use these sourdough English muffins. And finally, we need to crack a whole mess of crab. And my highly scientific method gives a little for me and a little for the bowl. But even with losing half the profits, it only takes a quick couple of minutes to get enough in the bowl for a hearty helping of crab Benedict. If you can do this without eating it all first, you've got a lot of willpower. I don't. I've cracked about 1 full crab's worth, but there's only about half of it that made it in the bowl. This stuff is incredible! Some of the best stuff on earth. And I've tried a lot of crab from a lot of different countries. Dungeness, fresh out of the ocean, into the pot, into my gullet. It doesn't get any better. Phenomenal. But we got enough in this bowl to actually make our Benedict, so let's get cooking. All right, this is all gonna go pretty fast, so we wanna get the oven cranked up to medium high because we wanna put a sear on these tomatoes. And we're gonna cook a couple of eggs. Like I said before, this isn't a traditional Benedict, so we're not doing poached, we're doing a fried egg, because I love a fried egg. Once the eggs are in the pan and sizzling, a little bit of salt and a little bit of freshly ground black pepper, and then it'll be time to get your English muffins going. And by then, it's about time to flip the tomatoes. It only takes about 2 to 3 minutes per side, and you'll know they're ready when the edges just start to curl up. Yep, I'd say these beauties are just about perfect. Then a quick check of the eggs, a quick coat of butter on the English muffins, and then I think it's ready to put together. I'm guessing it probably goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyways. This is a crab Benedict, so don't be stingy with the crab. Because really, that's the whole point of this mess. And on top of that pile goes our ever so slightly runny fried eggs. And on top of that, it's our Hollandaise with just a little bit of kick. And since we're all adults and perfectly capable of making bad decisions about our health, I'd say load it up. And to top it all off, we're going to drizzle just a little bit more Thai chili paste to add some more kick, and a little bit of freshly chopped basil. And then that's it. It's a masterpiece. Well, that's it. It's a non-traditional crab Benedict. And it looks incredible! It actually smells pretty good too. I'm going in. I think that's probably the best version of an Eggs Benedict I've ever had. That's incredible! Really, and that little bit of Thai chili paste sets the whole thing off. Phenomenal. Go get some crab, make this. You'll be a happy person. I promise. I'm telling you, it is amazing. Sometimes I even surprise myself. All right, see ya. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna finish this off.